Welcome to Selfish Confidence, a place where we can connect and be real about how hard it is to be your damn self. My name is Jess, and my goal is to help you build confidence and belief in yourself to live any life path you want, even if it's unconventional. It's time to flip off societal pressures and connect with women who've also felt on the outside by their life choices. We're here to encourage you to grab the mic and speak your truth. I know it can be scary, but we're in this together. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Selfish Confidence Podcast. It's Jess here, and I have an extra special guest in with me today. It's Chrysty Lockhart from the Start Scared podcast, and we are going to be talking about all the things that you can start when you're freaking scared. I'm scared all the time. Hello, anxiety. So I'm so glad to have you finally here, Chrysty. How you doing?
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here. I'm like obsessed with you. So it's just an honor and a pleasure to get to chat with you today.
I'm obsessed with you ever since like the first Empower Her when we met and we could connect and chat a little bit. I know we never got a chance to like really get into it. So I'm so glad that you're Oh yeah, 100%. We just learned we're both projectors, introverts, like hide in the corner, please. At those events, I'm so scared. So
yes, all of that.
All of the things. Everyone's always like, oh, I can't believe you're an introvert. And I'm like, well, event Jess and like home Jess are two different things. And you can probably relate to that too, eh?
Oh yeah, for sure. And then get me in my room so I can just hide in my cave and decompress. And there's been like the first Empower Her conference, I roomed with someone. And then the second one, I was like, no, I have to be by myself. Like I can't be with other people.
Need space. And are you like buzzy at it too? Like, do you like feel like you just kind of like buzz a little?
Kind of, yeah. But I also am like constantly all up in my head about, will this person recognize me from, Zoom or my podcast? Like I don't look the same. I feel like different, And so I'm like, do they know me? Do they recognize me? What am I going to talk about? So I'm like all up in my head all the time. So I just
totally get that.
Yeah.
100%. Well, can you tell us a bit about you, Chrysty, what you do, what you're all about, and share with us all the juice.
Sure. I am Christy Lockhart. I live in a town outside of Austin, Texas. I am married to my husband, Frank. We've been married almost, 12 years. And we have 3 kids, Malcolm, Addison, and Bruce. I am a teacher and I am retired at the end of the year. So I'm really stoked about that. Kind of leading into my projector ways to take myself out of the full, 9 to 5, it's not really 9 to 5, but, full day work. And I am an avid reader. I read way too much. I also host a podcast called Start Scared. And really, I'm just trying to discover who Christy is outside of the many hats that I wear. And so that was the whole premise of my podcast, that reminding moms or other women that who they are outside of X, Y, and Z, they still matter too.
I love that so much. And I think that we just don't often get a place to do that. Like I'm not a mom, so I don't understand, but I do understand from a woman's perspective of just like not knowing who you are. So how did you take those steps to like starting a podcast, starting it scared, and just like starting to put your life out there on blast?
Oh my gosh. So, I'm a major introvert and I have major perfectionistic tendencies. But I love listening to podcasts. I never thought that that was something that I wanted to do or could do because of, my not enoughness. And to be quite honest, after a couple glasses of wine over Christmas break, I slid into my mentor's DMs and I was like, hey, I might want to start a podcast, but I'm scared. And, what am I going to talk about? Who's going to listen? And so she kind of just put me on blast basically and was like, dude, like you have a story to tell. Like you wouldn't be asking these questions if it wasn't something that was weighing on your heart. And so I joined her podcast mentorship and I named the podcast Start Scared because I was always scared to start anything new out of fear of looking dumb. What would people say? Would people even care what I have to say? I am not an expert in anything. And, all of these, self-deprecating thoughts that would constantly go through my head. And the first episode that I released, I probably recorded 10 or 12 times because it wasn't quote unquote perfect. And then I was finally like, you know what? I've got to just put it up or it's never going to happen. And so, but the progression over the last 3 years of going from fully scripted, re-recording all the time to not even having notes, just having a thought, an idea, just to get it out. And if one person listens to it, great. If 10 people listen to it, great. But my goal is that other women feel seen, heard, and understood, because I always felt like I was so alone in my thoughts, probably because I didn't share them with the world. And so I want other women to know that they're not alone and that we all go through these really hard challenges, whether you're a mom or not a mom, it doesn't matter. We're women in 2024 and it's hard. And, we have all of these expectations on us and we want to do well in the things that we do, but we also need to remember that the things that bring us joy should be number one too.
Yeah, I love that. What are some of the things that bring you joy now? Outside of reading, is there anything else?
Outside of reading, I love to read. We recently built a beach house on the coast of Texas, and I will tell you until I'm blue in the face that I don't love going there because there's not really a lot of things to do, but it's actually like my favorite place to be. And there's something about the nothingness to do that is just like a breath of fresh air, and you feel like the weight is lifted off your shoulders. So I love being down at the coast. I love going to the beach, sitting by the pool. I have monthly girlfriend dates with my girlfriends. And so those are, just keeping myself surrounded with people who lift me up, but also doing things my introvert self needs in order to, create the energy that I need to create. So.
Oh, I love that. And how are you finding, especially as a mom of three,
Mhm.
and I believe one of your kids has ADHD, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So how does it work too with you balancing these things that bring you joy, the lifestyle that you have, while being a teacher full time, while learning all these things about yourself and being a podcaster, while like just being you and making time for yourself, and also caring for some people in your life?
That sounds like a lot when you say it out loud. I'm
It
like,
is a
shit.
lot.
I'm like,
I don't think
wow,
I
holy
don't think
cow.
women realize sometimes like all the things they have on their plate until you like list it out and you're just like, oh yeah, it's a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
I do that. That's me. Because you're in it,
Well,
you don't see it.
exactly right. So my son is 9 and he's my biological child and he does have ADHD. And I always joke since he was 2 that he was going to have ADHD because he was just a wild, crazy man. And so we were diagnosed when he was in first grade. And the biggest thing was I want to give him the opportunities to recognize that there's nothing wrong with him. I spent so much of my life feeling like there was something wrong with me and that I wasn't enough. And I never want him to feel that way. And so we do, on top of the fact that he has ADHD, he takes medicine, he does therapy every other week because I want him to learn the tools and the strategies to really not cope with, but know how to handle his big emotions in an appropriate manner. And so I want him to feel loved and supported and seen and understood and get the support that I didn't feel like I had. And so I never want him to question his worth. And so going to therapy and taking his ADHD medicine and teaching him breathing techniques and loving him through the hard emotions and when he's yelling and screaming and hugging him and loving him anyway, so that he knows that there's not anything wrong with him. I don't think that answered your question, but
It's
I
still
don't
beautiful. It's still beautiful. And I think too, like just with like all of that, like you have a full plate. So how are we making, just if there's someone listening right now who has a really busy lifestyle, like
yeah.
they're on the go, they have kids, they are just full. How can they find some pockets for them? Or what would be some steps that they can take that can start them to do whatever it is that they have on their heart? Maybe it is a podcast, maybe it's adding something extra to their plate, but maybe it's also making some
Taking some.
time for themselves.
Um, I I live and breathe by my calendar. And so like when I go out with my girlfriends, we have our monthly dinner date, we sit there with our calendars to schedule the next one so that I have it on my calendar. We have it to look forward to. We are starting to like, okay, well, let's dabble into trying something new. Like we went to a med spa last week and they had some kind of grand opening, something or other. So it was something different than just sitting and eating. But we always have our calendars with us, so we know when we're going to see each other again. And I think that that's really, really important, is getting something on the calendar, something that you have to look forward to. And it doesn't have to be a weekend away. It can be a dinner with a friend. It can be like, if you love to read, go pick yourself up a new book and read for 30 minutes before you go to bed. Like, you're setting the example for whoever is in your household that reading is awesome, but you're doing something that you love. If journaling is your thing, journal before bed or journal in the morning. But I think for me, I always felt like I had to do things, and then I felt guilty if I didn't do them. And so finding those things that do bring you joy, that make you feel like a better version of yourself, and do it your way. If you can't journal every single day, maybe journal 2 or 3 days a week. Get a guided journal. So if a full empty page is scary, get something that helps you, and so find something that works for you, so that you are taking some time out of your day to make yourself a better human. But like I said, don't feel like you have to, follow this prescribed morning routine, because a 15-step morning routine doesn't work for me. It may work for somebody else, but it doesn't work for me. And don't feel guilty about not being able to follow that 15-step morning routine. So find something that works for you and do it your way.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I'm with you on that too, with like that 15-step morning routine. I need it's three, like three
Yeah.
steps, if that. And it probably took me 3 hours to do. I'm just not gonna lie to you. It takes me a long time. I get distracted, things are busy. So I love that focus. And especially too, if the idea of like something fun to do is to go get a new book, because I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that it always has to be social, or it always is like a drink with a girlfriend, or it has to be this, or it has to be this. And we see the things on social media, they look really fun. We compare ourselves to those all the time. But like it could also be something as simple as going to get a new book. Like
Yeah,
that sounds really fun.
So my bonus kids, the 2 older ones, their mom recently took up puzzling, and she's like, it brings me so much joy, because she works from home and she just leaves the puzzle on her table and in her kitchen, and she'll just, like, while she's on a conference call, she'll just walk by and put some pieces together, and she's made so many amazing puzzles, and then she frames them and hangs them up, and it just brings her so much joy. So find something that brings you joy regardless of what it is.
Mm. Yeah, regardless of if the world has labeled it weird or something that, grannies would do. I am an inner granny, okay? Like I like that. So I'm down for some puzzling, some reading. Do you have any book suggestions while you're here on the topic? What's
Oh my
the
gosh.
number one?
Um, it depends on the genre. So my cousin recently got me into like a dark romance. I'm currently reading Still Beating. It's got a lot of trigger warnings, but it's really good. I read the Crown of Roses and Thorns. I read that series. That was really good if you like fantasy books. I don't do personal development because I can't read them. I listen to the podcasts. So my books are usually the
Fun.
fiction, romance, fun. Yeah. Throw myself into a different world type of
I
books.
love
So.
that. When I came from like a background that did a lot of personal development, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, these are my pleasure books." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "It's not for work, it's not for anything," because I would say like pleasure, like sexy books. And she's like, "No, it's just for pleasure, like it's something you enjoy to read." And I was like, "What? People do that?" It doesn't have to be like a textbook, or it doesn't have to be, because I always put that negative, like boring books on like in my mind. And then now that I read fun books, it's actually really fun. Like I stayed up way too late last night reading. So I'm like, you know what? This is
Same.
actually really nice. I'm with you. I
Yeah.
love that. So when it comes to the podcast, you started it, you put it out there, you put your life out there on blast. How do you make time to keep going with it?
Again, I live and breathe by my calendar. And so I know that, like, my podcast episode is due on Friday by 5 o'clock to my editor. And so I write it on my calendar, and I don't have to go, my schedule changed a little bit, so I don't have to go into work until 10 now. And so on days that I bring Bruce to school, I'll just hop over to a coffee shop, and I'm there for a little under 2 hours, and I'm able to get podcasting done, the editing of like interviews or whatever. and marketing stuff. And so I just try to use that time as efficiently as possible. I'm not always, I mean, we're not always or never, but I try to be as efficient as possible because when I get home from work, I don't want to think about anything other than being here with my family. So, but yeah, like I said, I put it on my calendar, and I know, like, okay, on this day, I'm going to post this to social media. On this day, I'm going to post this story to social media. On this day, I'm going to upload my podcast too. So I know that I have this checklist for each day to get it done, because I don't have a lot of time to get things done. I have small pockets outside my job. So that's how I do it.
Oh, you're so organized. Can you come over and do my calendar?
I would love to. I don't know why, but I really like schedules and organization. And that's, I don't know, part of schedules are fun to me. I don't know why.
I know a few people who are going to be listening to this episode who are going to be like, yes, Christy, I am down with the schedule. And I'm over here like, I love it so much.
I'll be your assistant. You have an interview at 10 o'clock. Be there.
Yeah. Be there on time, period. Yes, that's what I need. Thank you. You could just move up to Canada. It's really great up here. A little chilly, but
I don't know about that. It's too cold for me.
Yeah, you're in the warmth. And the fact that you have a sweater on now too, I'm like, girl, it's summer down there.
But I mean, it's overcast, so it's not the greatest weather right now. But yeah, it's better than up where you are, I'm sure.
It's sunny here, so we are going to take that as a win this week.
Okay,
We're gonna
yes.
take it as a win. There's no snow. It's sunny. We can handle it.
Any sunny day is a win for sure.
Yes, that's amazing. So, Christy, I just love what you're doing to be supporting women in everything and stepping forward and really sharing your story with them. Is there a particular episode that you have? Tell us a bit about your podcast, what you share there, but is there a particular episode too that you can think back that maybe you were a little extra scared to put out there?
Oh gosh. So my podcast is, for women, for moms. I started doing it for moms, but really it's kind of morphed into being for any woman who has lost herself in the chaos of everyday life. And there have been a lot of episodes where I'll do a voice recording on my phone, and then I'll upload it, and I don't listen to it again because it was just one of those things that was weighing on my heart. One of the episodes was I actually recorded it twice. It was when I announced that my dad had cancer, and I wasn't allowed to say that it was him who had cancer because he wanted to keep it private. But I went off on the medical system, and I actually had to record it twice because my parents thought it was too personal, and so I was like, oh no. But that one was a really powerful episode because it just was like raw, real emotion. There was another episode, I actually recorded it the day he died. Unbeknownst to me, he was going to die that day. That was really a powerful episode because it was just, love on your people, love them hard, a lot of tears, just raw emotion. So there's been a lot of just being able to use it as a diary, but being so introverted and being so, kept things so close to the chest for so much of my life. The fact that I have this platform that I don't feel judged. I feel like people are there rooting alongside me. I feel very safe. And I think that that's been a really something that I wasn't expecting to happen, that I ended up using it as a diary and as a journal. So a lot of the episodes are very personal and to things that are happening right now. There actually was an episode that I ended up deleting early on because it was too personal, and I won't do that now. But that was early on, so it's just like I'm able to use this platform to speak my heart, and hopefully someone feels that they're not alone, and that's the whole goal. So yeah, there's a lot of episodes that are just me pouring my heart out and just being grateful to have this platform to be able to do so.
And I think that's why we love you so much. Like, because you do share so like real and raw. Like
Thank
women
you.
need to hear that. They need to see women being more vulnerable. And I even feel emotional as I say that because it's just, we all think we're alone. Like we all
Mhm.
think that it's just us. Like nobody gets it. And thankfully, people like you have put podcasts out there that people can understand and relate to and connect with. And they're just like, oh, wait, I'm not a crazy person over here all by myself.
Yeah.
Like somebody else is going through this too. And even though it's not the exact same, the fact that you even shared some of those pieces of your family on there is like so beautiful because there's people who can connect and need to hear it.
And I feel like the more honest I've gotten, the more people relate to it, you know? So, like at the beginning, I told you I used to have these scripted podcasts and, I wanted them to sound perfect. And now it's me with my ums and my, pauses because I'm thinking about what I want to say next. And I feel like that makes the podcast more relatable. And if people like it, great. If people don't like it, that's fine. There are other podcasts for you to listen to. But because I am so busy and because this is such a passion of mine, I also don't want it to take up all of my time either. So, coming up with the quick, short podcast episodes that may have a bullet point that I wanted to talk about and it has a ton of ums, I mean, that's the person that you get if you sit in front of me, too. So, it makes it feel a lot more real and like I'm a friend, like we're girlfriends chatting over a cocktail or a coffee on the back porch, which is what I want.
Yeah. At your beach house, I'll be there with a
Come
coffee. We can
on.
read and drink coffee, and it would be just the best, right?
And we don't have to talk. We can just go into our corners and read. That sounds my girlfriend,
Introvert dreams,
yes,
okay?
my best friend and I, we go on a weekend trip every single December, and that's what we do.
Oh,
We have our coffee or we have our prosecco and we have our books and we have our beds next to each other and we lay in our beds and we read our books and occasionally we'll be like, I'm hungry. Should we go get something to eat? And then we eat and then we come back and we read some more and she's got 3 kids and I have 3 kids and she's a teacher and I'm a teacher. So we're busy. And so it's hard to have this weekend, but every single year we do it and it's life giving and we do
oh,
absolutely nothing.
that sounds perfect.
Yeah,
Like
it
I
is.
am down. I'm down. I think I keep seeing these things on Instagram too of like reading weekends or like getaway. It's just like a craft weekend or whatever. And I'm not crafty, but I could be down with doing a few crafts, reading in my book, and just like chilling with the girls.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
not
I don't
crafty
need a club.
either.
Don't need a club. I don't need wild nights. I need chill, slow.
Yeah,
I love
a
it.
good glass of prosecco and my book, and I'm good.
Yes. I love too how you talk about that perfection piece when it comes to the podcast because I struggled with that too in the beginning. Like if my dog barked, I'd like try to edit everything out, edit all the ums out, edit like things so it sounded so perfectly and sometimes scripted and just I wanted it to be like the sound to be perfect. And that was a big one. I didn't want to sound like I was just like doing it in anywhere, right?
Yeah,
And I went to a recording studio for a friend of mine who had her podcast recorded in a recording studio. I was like, that is cool. Let's see what this is all about because I just always have done it at home, typically sitting on my floor. Like, there's nothing fancy here. And I went there and they had their dog in the space. And at some points, like their dog was pretty well behaved, like, do not get me wrong, but like he would like shake and you could hear his collar or like things like that. And I was like, wait, like that's okay? Like, it's okay to have sound in the background? Like I thought we had to like it had to be perfect. All the sounds had to be who's going to listen to my dog barking in the background? And that was a big one for me, a realization that even in a recording studio, he didn't care about it being perfect because it had to sound also like you were a normal human being. We aren't perfect.
yeah.
So, do you have any tips for someone who's listening right now who wants to start something, but is afraid of that perfection piece? Like, oh, I can't put that messy social media live out there or that messy blog post, podcast episode, career change, whatever it is, because they're afraid of that, like everyone's seeing the messiness.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional because this is so me to a T for so many years that I would overthink everything. And there are still times where I overthink things and I don't post on social media or I may not say what I want to say. And then I think about it for days later. But the biggest gift that someone has ever given to me is telling me that action breeds confidence. And if you don't start, if you don't press play on, posting that social media post that you want, or press record on that podcast that you want to do, or whatever it is that you want to do. If you don't start, you're never going to know if it's something that you want to continue to do. And usually, for me anyway, I don't know if you listening, if this is for you too, but for me, my worst case scenario is always so much worse than reality. I have it all up in my head that this and this and this and this and this is going to go wrong. But then when I just put one foot in front of the other and I start, I'm surprised that it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be, or it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So the biggest piece of advice is, if you want to do something that's weighing on your heart, you've got to take the next right step, because as you create that action, or as you do that action, it's going to create that confidence. And then you're going to feel so much better doing it the next time and the next time. I'm 3 years into my podcast, and never did I think that I would be voice recording it on my phone without a script. And that's just how I am now. But it's because I put in the reps and I just played around until I figured out something that works for me and works for my audience. And, so just action breeds confidence.
Yeah, do it. Just try. Just try. Even though it's really scary. Like, I remember my first episode when I put it out there, I was like, uh-oh, people are going to know the truth. Like, that's really scary.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, you hide behind a mask. Oh my gosh. Like, I wore so many different masks. And then that's why I'm like, who the hell is Christy? I have no idea, because she's been this person and this person and this person. And so when you ask me, what brings you joy? I'm like, I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm trying new things and testing things out, but unless you figure out or take that step, you're never going to know who you are and what you're capable of.
Mm-hmm. Especially when we wear so many hats as women too, like where you wear the teacher hat, you wear the mom hat, you wear the partner hat, you wear all of the things. And then you're just like, who is it? Who am I? Like, I have no idea, because I just have so many hats and I can't find the Christy hat or the Jess hat, like, because there isn't one. Like, we're all of those things. So when you're getting to know yourself, is there anything in particular that you do to try to figure out who you are and what you like to do?
I really, I think
I know it's a hard question.
that is a hard question. Like, I feel like I have been getting to know myself through getting to know other people. And so I've spent a lot of my time like not dreaming. And, I wanted to be a teacher since I was 5. That was the goal, done and done. Right. So my mentor asked me a couple weeks ago, when was the last time you dreamed? And I'm like, I don't know, like, what would I have to dream about? Right. And so being able to be in the presence of other amazing women and having other conversations with them, finding out things that bring them joy, I'm like, oh, I think I want to try that. And so that's where I start to dabble in other things and try other things. Like, I've been a cheerleader and a gymnast for a bazillion years. And someone was hosting an adult gymnastics class. And I was like, I want to try that. This was last year. And I was like, I want to try that. But no, that's so dumb. Like, my body is so different. I don't think I can tumble anymore. Like, no. And so my friend she was like, no, you have to go. I almost canceled like 20 minutes before, because I'm like embarrassed. And like, I'm not like I was at 18 anymore. And she's like, dude, let's just go. It'll be so much fun. And I have not laughed that hard in a long time. I broke my finger and it was amazing. And I tumbled and I did back handsprings, and my body was able to do things that I didn't give it credit for. So it's like just trying new things. And like I said, like being surrounded by these amazing women who are like, let's go try that, or let's go do that. And, oh, I think I might like that. And then, or I find out that I don't, but it's fine because I tried it anyway, and I cross it off my list. And so, yeah, just because I don't know what brings me joy. So I'm trying to figure that out, and surrounding myself with, other amazing women has helped me find other things.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I think that would be super fun. Like an adult gymnastics, like I look at like aerial yoga and things like, I'm like, I think that'd be fun. You just have to do it. Just like
Yeah.
book the class and go.
like stop being embarrassed. Like
Yeah.
everybody's new, right? Everybody, no one's ever done this before, or someone had to start somewhere, right? Like we were always beginners at some point. So why is it a big deal to be a beginner again? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I think that would just be like a fun way for you to get out and have some fun with your friends and do something totally different.
Yeah.
So, what a great idea. And I think too, when it comes to some of these things, it's just like making the time. I don't make the time. And I can only imagine adding kids into that, like it'd be really difficult to make the time. So I love that you're doing that and really just stepping into a season that like you get to be you because Christy's amazing. And we can see that on the outside, but like when you're in it on the inside, it's really hard to see.
Yeah. And it's hard. There's going to be seasons where you may not be able to make as much time for yourself or do all the things that you want to do, but they're just seasons of life. It's not always going to be like that, like this year my daughter is a senior in high school, and we're knee deep in senior softball, and it's 2 days a week. We've got softball games, and some of her games are an hour away, but I'm not going to miss her games, so those are on the calendar. Those are non-negotiables. And it's just a season. She's almost done, and then I won't have to worry about softball again. But it's not something that I want to miss. So, like, there was another adult gymnastics class that I wanted to go to, but they were Tuesdays, and that's when she had softball games. And I don't want to miss any of her softball games because this is her last year. So after softball, then I can try, go to another adult tumbling class. But like I said, it's just the season that you're in. If you're not able to find all the time that you want to for yourself, but just putting something on the calendar is better than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I bet you'll probably miss softball too.
I will. I miss baseball. My older son played baseball, and
Oh,
I miss baseball. It's so hard when they grow up, but it's so exciting too because they just are like they're becoming their own. I mean, they're their own people and
yeah.
with their own lives, and it's kind of cool. So
What a beautiful thing to watch. For the woman listening right now who is just like admiring everything that you're doing and loving on you, what advice would you give her? If you could give her one thing so that she didn't have to go through all of the struggles from you starting a podcast, all of those things, if she could just like start at your best knowledge, what would that be?
it's scary because it's unknown. But I always say that God didn't place it on your heart if He didn't want you to do it. And being a beginner is very challenging. It's very hard. It's scary because it's unknown, but you're never going to get better at something if you don't just start. And so, like I said before, action breeds confidence, and know that you're not alone, because I think every single woman has been scared of something or felt unsure about something or felt not enough. So being open and honest with a trusted friend or a trusted mentor with those feelings, I think is, so incredibly important, because it wasn't until I started being really honest, not just with myself, but someone else, that they held the mirror to my face that like, this is what you're saying. Is this really how you feel? And that to me was really, really eye opening. So get yourself a trusted person to talk your feelings through, someone who will lift you up and support you. Not a yes person, but not someone who's going to tear you down either, but someone who's going to reflect back what you're saying and support you in anything that you want to do.
Yeah, I love that. Having those people in, I've met a lot of those people in the rooms that we've been in, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's so beautiful to just meet these people. They're out there, like really good mirror people are out there. You also mentioned too, one last question, Shai, I forgot I was going to ask you. You mentioned that retirement's coming. So, what's the plan for like post teacher life? Do we have a plan? Do we know what we want? I'm just curious.
We don't actually.
Okay,
And
cool.
that's
I
what's
love that.
really, that is scary. Yes. Talk about scared. Like I'm quitting a job without an idea of what's next. But I have always known the last several years that like, this isn't it. Like I wanted to be a teacher since I was 5. This is my 18th year. The goal was to make it 20, but that was just an arbitrary number. And the last couple of years, I'm just like, ugh, okay, well, once I figure out what I want to do when I grow up, then I'll resign, then I'll stop teaching. But at the event that we went to in September, two different speakers basically said the same exact thing, that your new thing is not going to come until you have some white space on your calendar. And I don't have any freaking white space. I work and then I do all the other shit that I do. And I don't have any white space to figure out what I want to do or who I want to be when I grow up. And so, I'm not saying quit your job and, burn all the boats. But that was, to me, the way that I could get the most white space and figure out what's next. So I don't know what's next.
Love it.
I'll keep you updated, but we're gonna figure it out one step at a time.
Like, could that be more on brand for you though? Like, start freaking scared, like quit your job freaking scared.
Burn all the boats, Christy. Yeah.
Like, you might as well.
God. Yeah.
And I love that concept too about space, because I'm with you. Like, if we don't have space, which for a lot of women we don't, it's a busy, but like allowing that is where the ideas come. And I always say too, like, if your ideas are only coming when you're in the shower, when you're driving your car, like you're doing too much. So like allowing some space. And I love that you're doing that. Like you just quit your job and give yourself some freaking space.
I know. And I made the decision in that room and, drew a line in the sand, and I wasn't planning on telling anybody until, much later in the school year. Cause I would never leave, in the middle of the school year. But, I was actually, other circumstances forced to tell them in October that I was leaving. And they were like, really? I thought we had you for another 2 years. I was like, thought so too, but things change. This is what's best for me and my family. So we'll see. And I can always go back, but I don't know that I will. And I'm a great teacher. I'm a really good teacher and I love teaching. It just might look different. It may not be in a classroom anymore. So
yeah, you definitely are a
TBD.
Great teacher and great teacher for women too. So like, I don't know, maybe something's changed. I'm so excited for you. And even to just hear you say like, I don't know, is beautiful, because I think as women, we have to have a plan, especially someone like you who likes to schedule. Like we're typically like, oh, we have to have a plan. But like, what if you don't?
Yeah. And as it comes closer, because my last day is May 17th. So as it comes closer, I'm like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? And I'm like, yes, it is. This is what we need, at least for a year. Give some space and, figure out what you want to do next.
So exciting. I'm always the person who like obsessively asks for a sign. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Send me a butterfly now.
I'm like, I need a flashing billboard. That's what I always call them, flashing billboards.
Yeah. Have you seen one? Have you seen a flashing billboard?
Not yet. No, but I haven't been asking for them either. But no, it's just, I just know that it's scary but I feel like I'm continuing to do what I'm doing because it's comfortable and because I'm good at it and it's safe. And, safe doesn't feel good anymore. So that's really scary to say.
Yeah. Safe doesn't feel good anymore. We go shake some shit up.
Yeah, we are.
Amazing, Christy. I can't wait to have you back after, and then we can talk about, because I know everyone's like, this is a cliffhanger, Jess. Like, you can't leave me on this, but Christy doesn't know yet, so we have to wait. We will wait for the end of the story. But can you tell everyone where they can find you online, where they can connect with you, where they can find your podcast? Yes, please.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was such an honor to get to talk to you. I am on Instagram at Christy Lockhart. It's spelled weird, Chrysty Lockhart. And you can find Start Scared on any platform that you listen to podcasts. And there's also a link in my bio that will take you to it too, and on Instagram. So
perfect. And I'll put everything in the show notes too for whoever's listening. They're like, I need to check out Christy. I need to see what she's up to. This is a cliffhanger. And I'm just so excited to see what's coming next for you. So thank you for being here and for sharing your truth and being just real and being you. Like, what a gift it is to spend time with you today.
It was my honor. Thank you so much.
What's up, sis? I am so glad we could hang out today. If you love this episode, send it to a friend or share it on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me sprinkle some confidence in the world. And don't forget, you are magic. Let's show the world your shine.